Hey, church family, it is great to just take a moment and just pour a little bit of my heart out to you guys. I know that we are continuing to go through this season of life with so much struggle, with so many questions, and hopefully that there is beginning to be a light at the end of the tunnel, and hopefully things are starting to change, or maybe we're getting the hang of this. I don't know. It's such a struggle for us, though, to really see what it is. We had an amazing weekend service with Easter, and so I was reminded of a story right after Easter that took place in the Bible. In John chapter 21, it says this. It says, "Afterwards, Jesus appeared again to his disciples by the Sea of Tiberias. It happened this way. Simon Peter, Thomas, Nathanael of Cana of Galilee, the sons of Zebedee, and two other disciples were together. I'm going out to fish," Simon Peter told them. And they said, "We'll go with you." So they went out and they got into the boat, but that night they caught nothing. Early in the morning, Jesus stood on the shore, but his disciples did not realize that it was Jesus. He called out to them, "Friends, haven't you any fish?" "No," they answered. He said, "Throw your net on the right side of the boat, and you will find some." And when they did, they were unable to haul in the net because it was so full of fish. Then a disciple whom Jesus loved said to Peter, "It is the Lord." As soon as Simon Peter heard him say, "It is the Lord," he wrapped his outer garment around himself, for he had taken it off, and he jumped into the water. When I read this story, I think a lot about kind of our situation right now. What do we do? Where do we turn? How do we live our life? How do we go back to normalcy in the midst of such unnormal circumstances? My prayer today is that you will have a moment where you can see Christ even in the situation that you're in. I love the story as they're out there doing something just as simple as fishing, that suddenly the Lord appears to them. Suddenly he shows up, and at first they don't recognize him, but they have this conversation. And in the conversation he says, "Hey, have you caught anything?" And they're like, "No, we haven't caught anything all night." And so he tells them to throw their nets onto the right side of the boat. Whenever I think of that, I think literally the correct side, the right side. So many times I think whenever it comes to our walk with God, or it comes to our relationship with others, we're throwing out nets, trying to catch things or trying to grab things in the wrong direction. What we need to do is to look for the right way to seek God. Look for the right way to show his love. Look for the right way to love those around us. As the time is kind of continued on, I know that some of our households began more of a struggle, and maybe we're really struggling in dealing with one another or being around one another so much, and it's almost like we need a break. Well, my prayer today is that you would look to Scripture and you would look to God and say, "God, what is the right way for me to cast out my net with my wife? What is the right way to cast out the net with my husband, with my kids, or with those around me? What's the right way, God, to cast out my net with you in order to catch something that you might have for me?" I think God is speaking to us through this time. I know God is speaking to us during this time, and he has a lot to say to us. The question is, are we going to be able to catch it? Are we going to be able to grab a hold of it? Will we see him for who he truly is? He's a God that loves us. He loves us unconditionally. He loved us so much that he sent his son to die on the cross for us. So today, let's remember that truth, and let's catch what God has for us. I love you guys so much. We're praying for you. Keep the sun in your eyes, and we'll see you soon.